Hi, this is DHG doing my Medal of Honor Airborne review. Out of all the different ratings I could give, I would say this is average. It doesn't really do anything head and shoulders above the competition then or now, but it still managed to be pretty fun to play. I often go back to this game just because it has its own unique feel to it. Something I enjoy. It managed to do something a little different in an age where Call of Duty pretty much dominated everything. Still kind of does in a way. The graphics still look good for a game that's made in 2007. Granted, I'm playing this on PC, but even if you were to go back and play it on Xbox 360 with, I think this might be one of those games that's Series X backwards compatible. You could also play it on PlayStation 3. I recommend playing it on PC. Just because if you're playing with a mouse and controller, it can make up for some of the weird control configurations that they put on the gamepad. The gamepad layouts, not exactly what you're used to. You can see from watching my videos that it took me a while to get used to it, and even by the end I was still hitting X to crouch. I mean, not X to crouch, X to reload, as per normal. But what it did works, and it works pretty well for like a slower combat-based game, more accurate hip fire than what you'd see in other shooters. The video looks a little bit choppy, you'll have to excuse me. I guess it didn't compress correctly. The sound is pretty good. Guns pop, the explosions are awesome. One of my favorite things in the gameplay was all the different grenades you can carry. It's always a lot of fun blowing stuff up. They tried to do some new things like upgradable weapons that upgrade in the field. I generally didn't like this. It just felt really out of place. And at worst, it was distracting. It kind of took you out of the gameplay for a minute, slowed everything down. I don't think it had the effect that they thought it was going to have. I remember reading some people liked it. I'm not of that camp. I thought it would have been better if they just had different tiered weapons, kind of like Left 4 Dead. Different tiered weapons or different variations of the same gun, like one has scopes, one doesn't, one has a grenade launcher, one doesn't. If they would just give you the better versions later on in the game, but they didn't do that. I wouldn't be able to tell you about its online multiplayer. I was trying to get into it, but you have to sign up with EA and all that stuff, and I thought the servers probably aren't online anymore anyway. So I didn't do that. But I remember from playing it back on Xbox 360 that the multiplayer was pretty fun. Although I'd be lying if I said it didn't have any problems. There was a lot of spawn campers since the game is about airborne combat. You could drop down pretty much anywhere on the map, except people could see you descending, and they had a really quick kill window for when you touch ground, and they could hit you, but you couldn't hit them. So people exploiting that little, I guess you could call it an oversight in design. People exploiting that made the game not that much fun, but when you got in a group of people that actually wanted to play the game and not do dumb shit like that, then it was a lot of fun. Definitely something to get away from Call of Duty for a while. You know, replayability, the game's not very long, and the levels, it all depends on what difficulty setting you're playing on. I played through on normal just because I didn't want to have to edit out so much crap. And I just wanted to show you what the game looked like, not do it for masochist challenge or anything like that. But if you play through it on harder difficulties, I can see this game being quite challenging. I might do that later on. But there's a high amount of replayability. Since it's short, you could get through the game in maybe about 4 or 5 hours. You can always go back and be like, yeah, it was pretty fun, let's give it another run. That's what I often end up doing, but I think what stole the game, intentionally or unintentionally, was the gammon grenades. You get them in, I think it's the 3rd level, Operation Market Garden. The gammon grenade was a British grenade. The concept behind it was make something that soldiers can use out in the field that you could pack any amount of high explosives into, and should adjust to the situation that they're in. So if you had to do like bunker busting type shit, then you could just fill them with as much explosives as they could hold, but if you want to use it like a standard hand grenade, then you could fill it with less. Because you obviously don't want to blow yourself up or your team or. But they're a lot of fun. You got me out of a lot of sticky situations during this playthrough, especially with those elite units that carry the MG42s. But I'm not saying it doesn't have its downsides. Like I said, the controls are, I wouldn't say they suck, but they're just not exactly what we're used to. Even back then, they were kind of strange. There were some bugs, especially when like peeking around an object and it looks like you're over it. Visually, you can see over it, but there's still like a barrier there, and you hit that. In fact, when I landed on the rooftop earlier in the video that's being displayed behind me, you'll see that I blew myself up when the Tiger tank was below me. That's because there was a barrier there that I didn't see. Things like that, not really bad things, but could have been ironed out a bit more. Overall, doesn't take away that much from the fun factor. So this game's a solid average.